How are you guys doing? Today is Saturday, March 6th, 2021, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims, and for this episode of The Elite, I'm going to do an elite profile on Timo Werner, who is now the current starting striker, who kind of goes a little back and forth, but I think now he's the starting striker for Chelsea. And I'm just going to give a little bit of background and kind of let his numbers and his accolades speak for himself as to why I believe that he is a player to look out for the 2021 calendar year, especially as he gets acclimated and starts to help Chelsea ascend to the team that they once were before they had been knocked out of Champions League contention as a team. So with that said, I'm just gonna give you a little bit of background. So he's as of today, he's now 25 years old. Stands at about 5'11". He's incredibly thick and like bulky, and he's also incredibly fast. He knows what he's doing. When he finished as the runner up in the Bundesliga in goals, he really kind of used his speed and his know-how to kind of get around people. It's really interesting to see him play in open space. I think that once he gets used to his Chelsea lineup around him in the field for the Premier League, I think it's going to get a lot better. Not to mention that he's been a member of the German national team since 2017. So of course, put all of that together, then I think Timo Werner is a very good player when he put everything together. So just to give you a bit of background, he's originally from Stuttgart. He would eventually get called up to play for the senior squad in 2013. And that would be his age 17 season, where he would end up starting 16 of the 13 matches he would play for a Stuttgart team that would finish 15th in the league. But in that season, he finished with 4 goals and 5 assists. As he ended up becoming Stuttgart's youngest goal scorer in their history, of course, at 17 years old. Also, in addition to, with all that, he was starting to establish himself as one of the better young players in Germany. Even though Stuttgart wasn't necessarily that good of a team, he was actually starting to get recognized by other teams in the Bundesliga. This would transition into his age 18 season in 2014-15, where he would help. I guess that season Stuttgart would finish 1 seed higher than they would the previous year. They finished 14th in the Bundesliga. He played 32 matches, started 16 of them. In the Bundesliga season, he would finish with 3 goals and an assist on the season. And of course, those were the only games that he was playing because he wasn't playing internationally. And Stuttgart was still kind of one of those teams that had to kind of figure out where they were going. This would transition into his age 19 season, where for Stuttgart, he would start 26 of the 33 games in his final season with the club. He finished with 6 goals and 3 assists. As of course, the team really didn't make Champions League. They didn't make Europa League, but of course, in Timo's final season as a 19-year-old, he established as a player that's worth keeping their eye on. And then eventually, it would end up being RB Leipzig, the team that took him under his wing. And once he got there, his career kind of took a different trajectory. Whereas I guess because at Stuttgart, he established himself as the young prospect, the diamond in the rough. But once he got to RB Leipzig, he really kind of took off. His first season in RB Leipzig, his age 20 season, he would start 20 of the 31 games in 2016-2017. And this would, of course, be the season that they would finish second in the Bundesliga. They lost in the first round of the Pokal, but of course, this would be after this season, this would be the first season that they would end up qualifying for Champions League. This was their first season in the actual Bundesliga, and that very first season, he would finish with 21 goals and 5 assists in the regular season, and in his age 20 season. And then to follow all that up, he also he would go on to participate for Germany that year or that summer right after in the Confederations Cup, as he had officially made his debut starting with Germany. And this would be in 2017, so this would be right after he turned 21. And RB Leipzig, like I said, they finished runners-up in the table. Their best standing, considering it was their very first season in the Bundesliga. So this would lead us into his second season with RB Leipzig, his age 21 season. He would start 28 of the 32 games, starting just as many games as he did the previous season. This season, he would finish with 13 goals and 7 assists in the Bundesliga. And this would come off of his summer where he would finish as the top scorer in the Confederations Cup. Cup, as he helped Germany win that whole title. That's the only trophy that's attributed to his name, and he was the leading scorer. But in 2016-17, he would, I mean, 2017, 2018, he would try to come back with 13 goals and 7 assists, not to mention what he did internationally. He was able to score 1 goal in the Pokal, and he also scored 7 goals in Champions League that season. And this would end up being the second year in a row he would end up scoring at least 20 goals for his club. This would transition into his 2018-19 season for RB Leipzig, his age 22 season, where he would start 29 of the 30 games for an RB Leipzig team that would finish third in the entire Bundesliga. This was a big improvement from being sixth the year before. They would finish runners up in the Pokal as they lost in the group stage of Europa League. But of course, Timo Werner that season, he would go on and finish with 16 goals and 7 assists in the Bundesliga itself. And then in the international stage, he would end up scoring 3 goals in the Pokal, and he wouldn't score at all in Europa League. But of course, like I said, Timo Werner was being the go-to guy. This time, he would lead the team in Bundesliga goals for the third season he could. And then this would transition. This would all really come together for his last season in Leipzig, which was in 2019-2020, his last full season playing as a soccer player. In 2019-20, Timo Werner would start 33 of the 34 matches in a season where RB Leipzig would finish with the third best record in the Bundesliga. Of course, that season they would end up losing in the round of 3 in the Pokal as they lost in the semifinals of UEFA Champions League, and of course Timo Werner was their biggest performer. During the regular season, he would finish with 28 goals and 8 assists. This is the most goals he's ever scored in the Bundesliga, the second time he's scored 20 within the Bundesliga itself. And he would also finish with 8 assists, which is the most assists that he's ever had in a Bundesliga season up until now. And then adding on to what he did outside of the Bundesliga, he scored 2 goals and 2 assists in the cup, and then in Champions League he would end up with 4 goals and 2 assists over the entire tournament. He finished the entire season, I guess, from all the games that he played with RB Leipzig, he finished with 34 total goals and 12 assists on the season. The first time he's ever topped 30 for his club within a season, and the first time he's had double-digit assists all within the 45 games he played, not to mention what he was doing playing internationally as well. And then this would transition us into where we currently are now with Timo Werner. Coming off of a season in which he finished second to only Robert Lewandowski in Robert Lewandowski's best scoring season, Timo Werner is now a member of Chelsea. The Chelsea Football Club in London was able to sign him over the summer, and he's been starting to get adjusted to a completely new team in a completely different league. He's not playing in the Bundesliga anymore. One of the other players that Chelsea got with him was Kai Havertz, one of the other young players for the German national team that's played with Timo Werner, so they have a little bit of established chemistry already. And so far at Chelsea, specifically within the Premier League, he started 22 of the 26 games that he's played so far in a season where Chelsea, they've played 27 games, so he's played all but one of those games. Chelsea is sitting second in the Premier League at the very moment as they trail Leicester City by a total of 3 points in the table, and they now sit 1 game over Everton at the moment. Chelsea's next game will be on Monday as they host Everton, and Everton is sitting 5th. So a win here could be incredibly big, and also Chelsea is going to face off. Right now they're winning their aggregate versus Atletico Madrid. So right now they have the upper hand in terms of who's going to advance to the next round, as they will be able to host Atletico Madrid. But that's where Chelsea's currently standing this season. In the 26 games he's played, he has 5 goals and 5 assists on the season. A lot less of an output than fans would expect, but of course this is his first season getting adjusted to a new team. Many people would expect growing pains, and considering this is just his age 24 season, he's only going to get better. Outside of this, he scored 2 goals in domestic cups, and then when it comes to international cups and Champions League, he has 3 goals and he has 2 assists for Chelsea. So that's kind of where he stands, and I think this kind of leads us to where we are right now. At age 25, the only trophies that are in his cabinet are a Confederations Cup, and he was able to win a Golden Boot by scoring the most amount of goals within that tournament. This is also a player that we saw start off at Stuttgart, a club that just isn't that great in Germany. You saw what he did once he got an opportunity to play for one of the best teams in the Bundesliga, and in RB Leipzig's very first season in the Bundesliga in his age 2021 season. This dude topped 20 goals in the Bundesliga, and the fact that he was able to do it twice shows that he's definitely not a fluke. And now with this being his first season in England, I think he's only really going to get better from here. But with that said, I want to thank everyone for listening to this 10, 11-minute piece. I hope all is well. I want to give you a chance to get a chance to understand Timo Werner as he becomes and could very possibly become the best and most valuable striker in England with the way that he's progressing and the way that he's playing. With that said, I want to thank everyone once again for listening to all 10, 11 minutes of this piece. I hope all is well. Once again, today is Saturday, March 6, 2021. I want to wish Timo Werner a happy 25th birthday. If you ever get a chance, watch my boy Turbo Timo, currently wearing number 11 for Chelsea, and he is also playing for the German national team as well. Thanks once again for listening to my piece. I hope all is well, and once all of the exhibitions for today are done, I'll get back to you tomorrow with those daily episodes. And my next elite profile will be on Justin Herbert, and this will be on the 10th as the elite rookie quarterback, the no longer rookie quarterback for the Los Angeles Chargers, is turning 23. So thanks once again. Today is Saturday, March 6, 2021, out here in this quarantine. I'm James Sims. I want to thank you for the last time for listening to my piece. I hope all is well, and I'll catch you tomorrow. Peace out.